here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth.
Welcome back to the Mastering You podcast with Natalie Newhart. Thank you so much for being here. Now let's get to work. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. So today we are going to discuss a very, very important topic. I mean, I think that they're all important, right? But this is just kind of what's going through my field right now is just really being aware and understanding what is driving you. What is driving you? What is driving me? What is driving us? What is that? What is driving you to do that thing, right? That you just did, or that thing that you're about to do, or that you're doing right now. So it's asking yourself, what's driving you? What's driving me to eat that food? What's driving me to drive so fast? What's driving me to listen to podcasts nonstop, one after the other? What's driving me to eat my meals so fast? What's driving me to work out? What's driving me to not work out? What's driving me to go for a walk or not go for a walk? What's driving me to say that thing to that person? What's driving me to help that friend? What's driving me to do that thing for my partner? What's driving me to buy that thing that I've been thinking about? What's driving me to work more, to take on more clients? What's driving me to cook that dinner or to clean the house? Or, what's driving me to not feel like I can trust myself? What's driving me to question myself? These are the kind of questions that we want to start to get inside of. These are the kind of questions that is a part of it. I mean, it's the biggest part of self-mastery is really learning how to understand what is driving you to take the actions that you do. Okay. Because here's the thing, guys. It's easy and common to think that we are the ones that are in control, that we are the ones, making the decision, taking certain actions, but it's not. What's driving all of our actions, all of our choices is the energy that is present within us at any point in time, at any moment. And so what I mean by that is if you just look at like the last 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever, of your life, and just kind of just start with the 24 hours. Just look at the last 24 hours, run yourself through the morning, run yourself through your day. Just kind of notice how, the decisions that you made, the things that you were thinking, the actions you took. And be aware of like the actions that maybe you weren't so proud of or that you regret, or the things that like, you wish you hadn't thought, like, things you kind of regret thinking, like you wish you didn't think like that. You didn't judge that person. You didn't judge yourself. You didn't think about food, like, whatever, like just be aware of kind of how you've been the last 24 hours and see if you can notice that the actions that you regret or are not proud of, or, just, weren't aligned with who you want to be, the life you choose to live. Just notice how they're like the feeling that was present when you were doing that action, or doing that action, or right prior to, right? And what you'll notice is that there's usually some type of lower vibrational feeling or energy that it is present in that moment. So maybe it's like, oh, I was feeling tired, I was feeling sad, I was feeling jealous, I was feeling fearful, worried, afraid, anxious. I was feeling angry, maybe frustrated, or maybe I was feeling like just like I wasn't deserving of putting myself first, a feeling of unworthiness, a feeling of like I'm not enough. And so I've got to do this thing, or I don't deserve to rest. I don't have time to rest. So just kind of be aware of the energy that was present as you did those things, as you took those actions all within the last 24 hours. And see if you can find that correlation where, a lower vibrational experience energy was present when you were thinking that thing that you wish you didn't think of, or, you took that action that you wish you wouldn't have taken. And maybe there were some actions in the last 24 hours that you were super proud of, and notice the correlation between how you felt then. Notice how maybe you were feeling a state of inspiration, or love for yourself, or proud of yourself, or peace, at ease, happy, relaxed, kind of a higher vibration, a more, um, I guess what you would, I guess, kind of consider a good vibration, right? And so just make that correlation. See if you can notice how, oh, interesting, when I feel this way, I think this way, I take this action, right? And we want to get inside of what made you feel that way. Okay. Is that feeling a conscious choice of, oh, I'm choosing to feel this way? Or is it a particular energy that was just running in the background? Right. So, for example, like feeling any sort of low vibrational emotional energy, and that's what it is. That's what energy is, or that's what an emotion is. It's just energy. Energy is emotion. Energy is emotion, like energy in motion. And when we're feeling any of these low vibrational emotional energies, like for example, they'll be the reasons why we go to food when we're feeling that way. It's the reason why we seek out food, to bring our vibration up, to also known as like to self-soothe or comfort, right? That's why they call them comforting foods, comfort foods. Or, maybe when we're driving super fast, like we're like in a rush, right? Maybe that driving fast may be the action that arises when there's a feeling of fear of missing out. Like, oh, I've got to get there because, what am I going to miss out on? Or maybe it's a fear of being judged as being late or disrespectful. So that's why I'm rushing. Maybe it's a feeling of, it's like, I'm not safe, like a fear, like an actual like fear of like a safety. So it's like, oh, like I might lose my job if I don't get there by a certain time. Or maybe it's a feeling of like where you place your worth or your love in doing things, or in other people. So it's like, oh, I need to hurry because I want to get all these things done, right? Because getting these things done makes me feel accomplished. It makes me feel worthy. It makes me feel important. Or maybe it's like, I need to hurry, I need to hurry because I told my friend I was going to be there at 9 a.m. And I don't want her to be mad at me. I want her to like me. I want her to, I want her to be my friend. I want her to love me. So it's like that's driving my action. That's driving my action to drive fast. So it's just like being aware, maybe like with your meals, look back at your meals. Were any of them where you were eating fast, where you weren't really taking your time to sit down and enjoy your food and taste your food? And if so, ask why. Like, why? What's the hurry there? Why was I rushing? Why was I eating so fast? And so maybe it's like the result of maybe, like I'm just always speaking from my experience, just so you know, maybe it's like a fear of missing out, right? Like, oh, I need to eat this because I don't know when I'm going to get another chance. Like maybe it was like something delicious and you're like, oh, like, I need to have it. I need to have it now. I need to have it all. Because maybe you've been depriving yourself of like, I don't know, a muffin or something like that. So you like chow it down really quick, right? That animal instinct in us. Or maybe it's a eating fast as a result of feeling a lack of self-respect, a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-love. It's like it's saying to the universe that, I'm not important enough to take time for myself to eat my food slowly and to taste my food. Now, obviously, that's not conscious, right? You don't actually believe that maybe, but that is what's running in the background. Maybe when it comes to working out, it's maybe working out, maybe the action that arises when there's a fear of gaining weight, right? A fear of getting fat, so it's like, oh, I don't trust myself that, I don't trust myself around food, that I won't gain weight if I don't work out. I don't trust my body's gonna, look the same tomorrow if I don't work out today. So noticing, what is driving you to work out? Is it some type of fear? Maybe it's that fear of, fear of gaining weight, or Or is it love? Is it like, oh man, I'm looking forward to, I can't wait to move my body. It's such an enjoyable time for just move my body, take care of it in the way that it needs to be taken care of today. And like the thing is, a really funny thing is that we tend to think like, oh yeah, I love working out, but is that's what really driving you, right? Because we know this when what happens when you aren't working out, right? Is there a fear that rises? Like, do you freak out? Do you panic? Because if that's the case, then that's what's actually driving. The mind loves to play tricks and makes us think that, oh, I just love this, even for me, right? And so I've really got to be aware, tune into my body and my energy. Like, what is actually driving me to work out today? What's actually driving me to skin up that mountain? And same with like, maybe when it comes to not working out, maybe that's the action that you take when you feel like when there's a feeling of unworthiness present, like a feeling of I'm not worth taking care of, or maybe it's a feeling of, yeah, like, or sadness or shame or guilt for putting yourself first or whatever. So it's like really being aware, what is actually driving me? Maybe it's a fear of the workout itself, right? Fear of the pain, like the sensations that happen when we work out. Maybe that's what's actually driving you to say no. Like so hopefully you're starting to understand that this is never a choice that we're actually making. It's the energy that's always driving us. Now, we can direct our energy to cultivate it into a state of love and self-love and self-worth, and that's what I do with my clients. But if you're not aware of it, oftentimes there's these underlying emotions, these energies that are driving us all day long, like all the thousands of decisions that we're making every single day, and the thoughts that we're thinking are all being driven by these energies. Another example is like cooking that dinner or cleaning the house. Maybe you're doing that. Maybe that action is what arises when you feel like when you have your self-worth and your love placed in doing things for others, right? It's like the sending out the message of I feel needed and important when I make this my responsibility, right? When I make this my responsibility to clean the house and to cook the dinner, or this is who I am, right? Like there's this energy of like, or belief that's there that's saying like, I only feel needed or important when I do these things. Okay. Or loved. Okay. So whatever it is that is driving our actions for many, many people, unless you've been doing this work, right? Unless you've been doing this work of self-mastery, it is often not conscious, right? These actions that we take all throughout the day are often not conscious, meaning we are not aware that these energies are driving us to make these decisions. And what's, interesting is that these energies, we all have our unique set of energies, right? We all have like our unique blueprint. I've got my patterns, I've got, my fears, you've got your fears, you have, I have my self-worth issues, you have your self-worth issues. And it's all, it's a culmination of how we've been brought up and the people we've hung around with, the groups we've been with, like our experiences that we've been through in our life. And what happens is these energies get imprinted into our nervous system and they run the show, right? They're like these silent ghosts that are constantly directing everything. And the thing is, it's always like the same feelings, right? If you notice, you kind of feel the same way, think the same thoughts day in and day out. And so these emotional energies are always, they're always present until you let them go, until you release them. Okay. And, obviously nobody wants to live with these energies of fear, feeling like we're not enough, feeling like, sadness, guilt, shame, but they're always there and they're always driving us, whether we're aware of it or not, until we clean them out. Right. And so this is why it's so invaluable to get to know and understand yourself on such a deep and intimate level, so that you can see what energies are present inside your nervous system. What are your patterns? And once you can start to see them, you can start to kill them, right? It's like you can't you can't kill what you can't see. You can't stop what you can't see. It's just always in the background until you see it, until you shine a light on it. Right. And then with enough determination, then you can actually start to transform these energies into higher vibrational ones that will support you in the life you choose to create, the person you choose to be, just the experience really that you want to live. Right. For example, like my part of my vision is, I want to master myself. I want to balance being peaceful and strong. And I want to be somebody that is just, has peak health and vitality in my body. I want to take the best care of myself. I want to be connected to myself, and I want to be connected to nature, and I want to feel absolutely calm and, empowered in my life. I want to feel powerful and, like all these things. And I want to have like just so much love and light vibrating through my body that people can feel it just from me walking into the room. I want to be able to impact others with my vibration just by being me, not with even having to say anything. So like, this is what I'm working on. Right. And so what I was going to say is that, yeah, so you can start to train yourself into that person, moment by moment, right? By doing this kind of work. And one thing for us to, a big part of this is being aware of where these energies have come from, like the energies that you don't like, right? The patterns that you wish you didn't have, the patterns, the habits, the behaviors that you would like to get rid of, that you don't want to hang on to anymore, right? It's so easy to think like, oh, I just want to get rid of this pattern. And people do like these diets and, like they go to courses, they go to seminars, they, just listen to podcasts. They like, we do all these things. I've done this too, right? And the thing is that nothing changes it. Nothing changes it until you change yourself, until you go in and it's like you rewire yourself. It's like literally taking apart your cell phone and taking all the pieces out, and then we're going to rewire it, restructure it together. But like going to a course or doing a seminar, listening to a podcast is just like getting a cell phone case. Like it doesn't change the actual, the way it's wired on the inside. Okay. It may kind of make it look kind of cool, like look a little different for a little bit of time, but it doesn't actually change on the inside. So, so the first step is really being aware of where these energies have come from, because these energies have come from somewhere. They are not you. They are not me, because we are really pure. We are pure. When we were birthed into this world, we were pure. There was no insecurity. Like, just think about when you look at a baby, they're not insecure. They're not having to prove themselves to show how smart they are. They're not trying to show people how great they are by, doing flips and, making money and trying to be seen. Like these are learned behaviors, right? These are learned behaviors that we learn from our parents. There are things that we learn from society. There are things that we learn from traumatic experiences. And so that's where all these energies come from, right? So like, for example, like parents are the biggest ones, right? Whatever we were, we were like a sponge when we were a little baby. We absorbed everything. We saw, the way our mom and dad behaved. We just started to think that that's the way to be. That's how we survive in the world. That's how you're supposed to be. And we also, developed certain ways of trying to get their attention, to seek their love, to feel important, to feel needed by them. We would maybe, like for me, I was big into trying to be the best on like sports teams, right? Because my parents were so proud of me. Oh, she's the best player, talk about me. And, I'd get all excited, happy and feel cool and like, just awesome. And so, that I sought my self-worth and my self-love by trying to achieve those kind of things. So trying to be the best, right? The hardest worker in the room. And so that was just it's just a deep feeling of unworthiness, insecurity within me without having those things, right? I also like for example, maybe you learn not to trust yourself, so it's like because your parents were always telling you should be like your cousin or your sister, or you should be more like your friend, or you should be more like XYZ, or maybe they're telling you how you should dress and what job you should get and what you should do and how you should write and da 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 da, right? So it's like you develop a feeling of lack of trust, lack of belief in yourself, always looking to try to rank yourself, or like be as good as somebody else, do things like other people do it. So this is where all these patterns and energies start to come from, and we don't know it, right, until we really start to shine a light on it. And these are the kind of things that are always driving us. And another example is like whatever your parents believe, like those, you'll notice that you tend to believe the same things, right? Like maybe, oh, you got to work hard for money, and you've got to let's see, like that one was from my mom and my dad. You've got to, like, you can't rest. You have to work hard before you rest. Like you've got to, achieve a certain amount of things in your day before you can rest, like certain things like that, right? Um, yeah. And maybe, it's like maybe your parents, they had a low lack of self-worth within them, low lack of self-love within them. So they didn't teach you how to take care of yourself. They didn't teach you how to listen to yourself and trust yourself. Maybe your mom has some type of insecurity with her body, right? And so that was just handed down to you. Maybe she said something, or you just witnessed her like always looking in the mirror, or maybe you witnessed her taking diet pills, or whatever. Like then these energies, like feeling of like I'm not worthy unless I look a certain way, that's what gets implanted in us. And then we're 40, 50 years old, and this is what's driving us to work out, right? We're driving out of a place of fear of gaining weight, fear of looking large or whatever, and that's like, I'm not going to say it's bad. It's just, it becomes super exhausting when that stuff happens, right? And I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit, but because it's like we're always running, right? We're always running away from what's going to happen. So we do all these things just to feel safe. But so this is kind of where these energies come from. They come from our parents. They come from traumatic experiences. And for example, with me, a traumatic experience was getting banned from CrossFit. I tested positive for PEDs. And so when anything that has to do with like podiums, winning, anything like that, there's a feeling of shame, really, that comes up for me, deep shame. And so this shame can be driving me a lot of times, and I don't even know it, right? And so like this is actually one that I'm working on right now. But also like, feeling of unworthiness that came from that, because I was basically ostracized and outcasted from the community. And so I really felt like I didn't have any self-worth. I didn't feel like I was important. I didn't feel like I was needed. And so I started to develop like these beliefs that oh, nobody wants me. Nobody wants to, be with me. Nobody likes me. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Like that's where a lot of this stuff, came from, because that was such a traumatic experience. And then these things can be the drivers. These energies will be the driver that causes me to go to food, for comfort, for joy, for happiness, for that sort of, like excitement. It'll be the thing that drives me to, maybe say something or post something on Instagram. Like I've posted something on Instagram and I would like kind of hurt somebody's feelings, or I would say something that just wasn't very like, I don't know, thought out or kind. And it was a result of like this feeling that was inside me, this, a result of shame that started from this traumatic experience with CrossFit. So it's like, I believe that I deserve that shame. It's like, I'll do things, I'll take certain actions because I unconsciously, because I unconsciously believe that that's what I deserve. Like, that's just who I am. Ever since that experience, I feel like I deserve to be punished. I deserve to be hurt. I deserve to be like crawling into a corner. So like, this is the kind of like stuff that we, if we don't understand why we do some of the things we do, it's these energies that are really driving us. Another example that you could probably relate to is like diets, right? Diets have really caused us to be fearful of food, and not trust ourselves. So, from all these experiences of, restricting foods, and then we binge on foods because we restricted the foods, that develops a lack of trust within ourselves. So then we have no trust, and we need these meal plans, and we get caught in these yo-yo cycles for some people for the rest of their lives if they're not aware of this energy that's driving it all. And if you don't start to like transform that to actually trust yourself, and diets just keep you in that. So like, that's just another example of kind of like how an experience, an experience that, maybe you've had several, right? You've repeated, done lots of, you've binged lots of times. And so now there's every single time that you feel that way, every single time you binge, it's like that just gets anchored in your nervous system a little bit more. Or maybe it's like a belief, from doing diets for so long that you think certain foods are bad, or you should eat a certain way or fast a certain amount of hours or something like that. So you have these fears, and so this can be what's driving you to eat a certain way. But again, like I said, it's like, if you're not listening to your feelings, then it just ends up in a binge. So, and then people wonder, they spin out kind of wondering why they can't figure themselves out. And this is why, right? Changing your diet, changing your eating times, changing the outside things are never going to fix it. You got to go inside and rewire it. Yeah. And then also another thing is like energy, can come from society, where, like the beliefs of the society, the environment that we live in, right? Because the environment that we live in has very different beliefs that, than an environment on the eastern side of the world. In the US, where, for example, we believe that we are, we've been kind of taught and brought up into thinking that we're worth more the better we look, or that like our, the skinnier we are, right? And if we have eyelashes and Botox, and we just are this image of like a Barbie doll, that we're just more important, we're more needed, we're more loved. Or we're more worthy the more that we do, the more things that we accomplish, the more money we make, the more things we have, the nicer cars and all this stuff. We think that's like, that makes us better, right? And so that can be the energy, right? That's driving us, like a feeling of unworthiness unless I have these things. And then another thing where this energy comes from is just from triggers of everyday life, from people, from music, from sounds, from smells, from our own thoughts, right? So for example, it's like, we've all been around a person who's anxious, right? We're around like an anxious person or a really stressed out person, and we have a conversation with them, like we start to feel our anxiety kind of creep up, or maybe we're around a sad person and we could start to feel a little bit like we notice our energy goes down. Or maybe we're around a really grateful person, a really happy person, and that brings out these feelings, these energies of, oh, I am grateful too, I'm really happy too. Like, so we are always being influenced by something, right? And every moment of our day, and even our own thoughts, like that's the thing, is like we're always, our mind is always thinking, and it's usually thinking on like a repeat, right? It's like a tape that just kind of plays the same tapes over and over because of the patterns that we have, the energies that we have inside us. And most people are unaware of it, and so, quick interruption. Hey guys, Natalie Newhart here. If you resonate with my message and would like to learn more about how to master your behaviors, create peak vitality in your body, and live a more effortless life, then click the link in the show notes to set up a 30-minute coaching call with me. On our call, we'll take an assessment of what's standing in your way from becoming your best self and the steps to overcome them. Okay, back to the show. The point I want to highlight here is that we are energy. Like, we are literally energy particles vibrating in space. And this is true. Like, this is quantum science. This is, science calls it the quantum field. spiritual people, they call it like good vibes, and so it's real. And this is why when we truly believe, like, for example, it's like when we've all had an experience where we truly believe something. It's like, oh, when we work out and we're like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling strong today. And you lift great. Yeah. You lift heavier that day. Or when you feel like, oh, I'm really feeling weak today. Like, or man, I'm just not that strong. Like, that will be the thing. You won't lift that well. I had this belief when I did CrossFit. I was like, oh, I suck at snatching. I really did, but that's because I believed it. I didn't suck at snatching just because I sucked at snatching. I sucked at snatching because I believed I sucked at snatching, right? Um, and this is why, this is why, for example, like when I forget what his name is, but who ran that 4 minute mile, right? As soon as somebody did it, other people believed that they could do it, so they started doing it too. Same with like the people who are doing CrossFit, like now, like these girls are snatching 200 pounds at like, and they're teenagers, and like, it's just common now because once one person does it, then they all do it, right? It's like, oh, that belief, oh, if she can do it, I can do it. So, and this is why people visualize themselves, doing something. They visualize themselves making the shot, winning, scoring the goal, maybe doing a presentation or being successful, making a certain amount of money. It all starts with a vision. And then we become it, right? We like with enough repetition and with enough belief and intensity, and you actually feeling yourself as that, really believing yourself as that, we become it. Like we vibrate into it. But it doesn't happen from us thinking it alone, right? It doesn't happen just through the mental layer. We have to actually vibrate as it. We have to actually feel it. And so this is the game, right? This is the game to creating anything that you want and the game to getting out of the patterns that you don't want, right? Letting go of the things that you don't want in your life, the habits, the behaviors, the patterns. And so this is what I teach my clients how to do, because most people, like they know what they want to get rid of, but they don't know how to get out of it. They don't know how to believe themselves as somebody else. They don't know how to love themselves enough to take good care of themselves, or to believe that they're worthy of taking really good care of themselves, of slowing down and putting themselves first, or they don't know how to trust themselves, right? And so these energies are, because they're so foreign to us, because we've lived without them for so long, there's something that has to be cultivated, developed, and honed, through this kind of self-mastery work. And it's the feelings of fear and lack of trust and lack of self-worth that, they're so strong that people can't begin to see themselves like a different way, right? And so this is when that energy is really powering you, right? You don't feel in control. Like, for example, for me, the longest time I did not feel in control around food. Like I didn't trust myself at all. I always needed these control measures. I always felt like I needed to like eat at certain times. I could only eat certain foods. And, I also felt like I needed to work out. Like I didn't trust my body to, or to give myself rest. I felt like I needed to like work really hard, like, schedule a bunch of things in my day and accomplish as much as I could. Like, and that's how you really know when you're living in fear, is when you find yourself saying things like, oh, I need to, I have to, I should, right? When you find yourself saying these things, this is how you know you're living in fear. This is how you know fear is driving you, because, you think that you're in the driver's seat, but really fear is in the driver's seat. And when this happens, we literally feel like we have no control, right, of our life, that our life, it's like a feeling like our life is running us. The food has power over us. Like we have no choice, which means that we just kind of find ourselves constantly in this cycle of chasing, seeking, and running away from the fears that we have. And we need, this is where we find ourselves needing to like have control, right? We need things to be a certain way in our life in order for us to feel safe. And so that could look like needing to, do a specific morning routine. Like these are all examples from myself and my clients, but like needing to do a specific morning routine, right? To feel to feel like you can have a good day, right? I have to do these things in my morning in order for me to have a good day. Or I need to work out to feel at ease, or I need to work out to feel safe, right? To feel like I'm not going to lose my body. I need to hit a certain amount of steps. I need to eat at certain times. I need to eat a certain amount of macros or calories in order to feel safe, right? I need to have the house and the chores done a certain way in order for me to feel at ease. Maybe I feel like I need to look a certain way, right? In order to feel enough, with whatever I do, whatever my career is. I feel like I need to sound a certain way. I need to sound certain smartness. Maybe I need to feel like I need to have a certain amount of clients, or I need to make a certain amount of money to feel like, I'm doing a good job in life, whatever it is. So what happens is we make our peace, our happiness, and our worth dependent on all these things, right? We have like these list of things, the length of my arm that needs to get checked off in order for me to feel a moment of peace, a moment of contentment. So it's like we spend so much work. We put so much work, so much energy, so much effort, so much time in checking off all these things in order for us to just get like a breath of, take a deep breath. And it's like so much running, so much chasing, so much seeking just to feel a slight bit of contentment in our day. But then what happens? We got to do it all over again, right? In order to feel content again. So it's like, it's this loop, this hamster wheel that never really stops. And so this is why it's so, the skill that needs to be developed is recognizing when these fears are driving you, right? When these energies are driving you, because this is where you'll find yourself like feeling like you need to, you have to, you should do all these things in order for you to feel at ease, And I think that many people start to realize this as they get older, that but they don't know how to get themselves out of this game, like out of this rat race, because the fears are so strong and it keeps them stuck. Like they, honestly, a lot of people, they're stuck in their ways of hanging out with the same people, doing the same routines. And so they never really get outside their box. And so they never have the ability to create the changes or get access to the information and the wisdom that they need to create the changes that they want. So what happens is, our life starts to become one big chore, one big to-do list. And that to-do list just repeats every single day in and day out. And when this happens, it's like, it's not really living. You're like literally just kind of going through the motions, just like checking things off, just getting through the day, and doing the things, checking off those things that make you feel at ease, for a small amount of time. And, there's really no space to live in this moment. There's no space to be. There's no time to really enjoy life, to slow down, because you're so busy worrying, and you're so busy doing, and so busy checking things off, the next thing off, that there's just like, life has really lost its sacredness and its passion, like its specialness, so for example, ready for this podcast, some people would think, I'll just use my example, like for me in the past, I would have like hurried up, like, I'm going to do this podcast, I'm going to write this, I'm going to do this episode, maybe quickly jot down a few notes. And sorry, my speaker just kind of went out. And so that's how I used to be, right? I was like always such in a hurry that it was like the podcast would have been like a hassle for me to do. It's like, I have to do this podcast episode, right? But now today, it's like I treat everything with sacredness, so it's like I spent about, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, like meditating on the topic that I wanted to talk about, and journaling all the points that I wanted to bring to you guys. And then, and then I did my hair, and I listened to some music as I was doing my hair. And everything was I wanted this to be a special experience, like the whole experience of recording the notes for this podcast, to doing it right now, right? To getting ready for the podcast, to doing it right now. Like I wanted this to be a sacred thing, not just something that I just do, right? Just to check off the list, because what's the point of that? Like this is my, I love this work. I love sharing it with you guys, and I'm going to like, I want to enjoy this process. I want this, like, this time is special if I make it special. It's not a matter of like, oh, I'm going to just bust out as many podcast episodes as I can because I hope that, they're like, I hope people will want to work with me, or I hope that, I don't know, something happens, I get more followers or whatever. Like that used to drive me, right? But that gets old. Like that's exhausting. And it doesn't bring you happiness. Like it's always, because it's always a constant chase of needing to feel more, get more, have more, be more, feel enough. And so today it's like, I don't care about any of that. Like, I don't care about my followers. I don't care, whether you want to work with me or not. I don't care how much money I make. Like, I really, really don't. I just want to be happy. I just want to enjoy my life. I want to feel really good in my body. I want to have peak vitality in my body. And I want to teach others how to do the same, So it's like, I don't care, how many listens I get to on this podcast. I don't care, whether I release one episode this month or 4 or 6 or whatever. Like it doesn't drive me. Instead, I do this because it's what I want to do. It's my passion. And as a result, I make just every moment of my life, like just something that's special. The meals I eat, obviously the episodes that I record, the workouts I do, every single thing I do, the walks I take, like everything is special. The client calls I have, it's like, it's sacred. And I see it that way, and so that way it's like, I'm not in that rat race of just checking things off. And which again, like I said, is just always driven by some type of energy of feeling like, oh, I need to do this. I in order to make money, fear of not making enough money, fear of, I don't know, like people not liking my episode. I've got to sound a certain way, or, so I've got to learn more, like whatever it is. Okay. But so what happens is, I know I'm kind of getting off track here. So yeah, like what I said was, what tends to happen is when we're living in this rat race, life starts to become really hard, right? It becomes just, it becomes hard. It requires a lot of effort, because we're just doing all these things that like we don't really want to do. We just want to take a break. We just want to relax. We just want to, like, I don't know, maybe take the day to just kind of like stretch and like go for a really slow walk, or, just kind of, maybe I want to color or go to a certain shop and read a magazine, or I don't know, whatever. So there's no space to really live and be and really fully enjoy life. And what happens, like, when we're just living in this rat race of just getting through the day, checking things off our list, we may start to feel sad. We may start to feel depressed. We may start to feel really stressed or alone, or maybe unworthy, or, not feeling like we're doing enough or good enough, or like just maybe confused, because it's like, maybe I've achieved all the things. I have the money. I have, lots of friends. I have everything, and I'm still not happy. And this is where we find ourselves, eating food to try to like get this comfort, to fill this void. We find ourselves buying things. We think that like, oh, the latest outfit, or shoes or car or house will make us feel, better. Or we seek out people like a romantic partner, or certain friends or followers or whatever. Maybe we seek out things or accomplishments, like winning something, I don't know, to fill this void, to feeling enough, and so we try to fill it by all these outside things. But what happens is we realize that we're still sad. We're still feeling alone. We're still feeling like we don't have enough. We still feel stressed. And this is a really challenging place to get to, especially when you feel like you've done it all, like you've accomplished it all, you have everything, and you still feel this way. You're like, well, what the hell? What's next then? Right. And I was actually just looking on Instagram earlier, and there's this girl that I follow on there, and she's got, I don't know, millions of followers. She's very pretty, very fit. And in her post, she says, one of the things she struggles with most is her mental health. And it's interesting, because it's like, that, and it's so nice that she's expressing this, because it's just showing that you can have it all. Like, this girl is like picture perfect, and she's still not happy. So it's like, well, what good is it to have all these things and you still not happy? Because I know from my experience, as soon as I don't feel happy, as soon as I don't feel good, I'm like, I'm quick to drop whatever. Like, I'm like, fucking take these clothes, take my car, like take, like, you know, like take whatever you need. I just want to be happy. Like, the only thing that's important to me is feeling good in my body. Or like, here's another example that we all can experience, you know, is how about when you feel like you got a stomach ache, like you got a really bad stomach ache, or you feel bloated, or you got a really bad headache. It's like the only thing you want is you just want to feel good, right? That is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter if somebody wants to, like, I don't know, like give you, I mean, I know it'd be nice to have like $1 million, right? But, you know, it doesn't matter like if people want to give you money, or, you know, a car, or, I don't know, followers, or like, I don't know, win an accomplishment. Like, if you don't feel good, it's not worth it, right? Like, it's like if you had a choice of, okay, feeling really good in your body, like you just feel, you feel light, you feel vibrant, you feel strong, you feel powerful, like you just feel just perfect, right? Or you can, and you have like, you know, less things. You have like the simple clothes and simple house, and I don't know, maybe you live in a small house or something like that. Like, or you can have all these things, big house, nicest clothes, big, you know, nice cars, and your body's in pain. You have headaches all the time, and your body hurts, and you have stomach aches, and you know, you can't move because you don't feel good. Like, shit, man, like that's not worth it to me, you know? So this is what I'm saying, is that, like, you know, we think that all these outside things will start to make us feel happy, but it doesn't. And we try to feel, you know, we still feel like sad, we still feel stressed, even with all these things, if you don't look to take care of the energy that's driving you on the inside, you know, that exists inside you. And what tends to happen is, when we are feeling this way, when we're feeling this sadness, this stress, this loneliness, or feeling like I'm not, you know, not enough or whatever, and we're like living in these cycles of always like chasing, seeking, you know, trying to achieve the next thing, trying to check off all the things on our to-do list, you know, forcing ourselves to work out when we're tired, being afraid of food. So we've like got to like, you know, we're following diet plans, we're intermittent fasting, and all these things. What happens is, because you're living in a constant state of fear, anxiety, etc., is the pain and this energy basically manifests into the body, right? And when the body is in this state of dis-ease, that when the body is not at ease, when it's not in harmony, when it doesn't feel good, we start to manifest these things in the body, and we experience headaches, stomach aches, joint pain, body pain, you know, imbalanced hormones, you know, deficient nutrient absorption, impaired digestion, gas, bloat, food sensitivities, hypothyroid, adrenal fatigue, low energy, low motivation, you know, decreased immunity, so an increased, you know, risk of getting sick and ill, slow metabolic rate, weight gain, like all these things, right? And people look to prescriptions to try to, quote unquote, fix it. But these prescriptions don't fix the actual root issue, you know, which is the energy that's driving it all. Like we, you know, started off this conversation with. And so this is why when I coach my clients on how to achieve peak health and vitality in their body, I don't instruct them on what to eat, right? Because that's not the problem. The problem is the energy that's driving them to eat when they're not hungry. The problem is the energy that's driving them to choose foods that don't support the way they want to feel. So I help them remove that energy that's driving them to eat so much, or driving them to choose certain foods that make them, you know, feel crappy, or that they're not proud of, right? So I also don't tell them how to work out, right? I help them eliminate the energy that's blocking them from wanting to move or wanting to rest, right? Because there's some type of energy that's maybe causing them to over exercise, or an energy that's causing them to never exercise, to not want to exercise. So we got to figure out, what is that energy that's keeping you from creating peak health and vitality in your body? That's what we have to get rid of. And I also don't tell them I don't tell them to just like, oh, you just got to respect yourself more. You just got to love yourself more. You just got to value yourself more, Instead, I help them remove the energy that's blocking them from feeling deserving of putting themselves first. Help them remove that energy that's making them feel that doesn't allow them to love themselves. There's something there. Nobody's taught them how. They've learned these other energies of being hard on themselves, beating themselves with a stick. Again, this stuff from parents, from society, etc. We've got to clean that out in order and really restore you to your natural balanced state. Because that's our natural state is peak health and vitality, is taking good care of ourselves, listening to our body and eating well. Our natural state is love, but we've been so skewed from love and so skewed from believing that we are, worthy, that's what fucks it up, right? We are already balanced. We just screw it up by allowing other people's fears and energies and feelings of unworthiness to drive us. And so this is what we do inside the self-mastery program. Self-mastery is self-love. Self-love is self-mastery, mastering your energy so that you consciously create peak health and vitality in your body, and you start to create a life of your own design instead of living according to this rat race of what you think you should do, need to do, have to do. You start to create freedom in your life. You start to create peace, contentment. You start to enjoy, look forward to every day and be able to create a different day every day. It doesn't, it's no longer the same because you're not just tied to these to-do lists and checklists and stuff like that. And, you learn how to listen to your body. You learn how to trust yourself around food. You learn how to trust yourself when to push it, when to rest. You learn how to really honor yourself with, movement and seeing it as a way to really experience life, moving your body, working out, what a gift it is. So it's, but it all requires a strong desire to become the best version of yourself. And so it's not for everyone because it does require deep work. You definitely have to be at a place where it's like, I'm not willing to tolerate living like this anymore. I've got to change. This is it. I'm not living like this anymore. It's like a hard stop, a hard no. And a lot of people either make that decision or they get to a point in their life where it's like they get sick or somebody in their family, passes away or something traumatic experience happens where it's like it causes a huge course correction in their life. And some people have to wait for that to happen. Some people just want to actually improve themselves. They just want to better themselves. But either way, this is the direction to go, is learning how to master yourself and master self-love. So if that's something that you're interested in, as always, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, or you can click the link in the show notes below, schedule a complimentary call with me, and we can get you started on that path, or just at least just talk about what that would look like. So thank you so much for being here, for showing up for yourself. And much love, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mastering You podcast with me, Natalie Newhart. I hope you're feeling more empowered and inspired on how to master your mind, your body, and your life. If you don't want to miss your next training with me, be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you consume your podcasts. And definitely connect with me on Instagram. I'm natalie.newhart on Instagram. Much love to you all. Until next time.
The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on us.